Well, hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Hockey North Weekly Podcast. I'm your host, Brendan Paulou. Well, it was another action-packed weekend for all the Caribou hockey program teams this weekend. We'll first kick things off at the U17 level, where the Caribou Cougars took on the Fraser Valley Thunderbirds. In the Saturday game, it was pick in the rink here at Kin number 1, with the Thunderbirds coming out with a 3-2 victory over the Caribou Cougars. Getting the game-winning goal was the Thunderbirds late in the third period on the power play. That was the difference in that game, as Garrett Harrop scored 2 goals in the loss for the Caribou Cougars. On the Sunday, defense was optional. It was 6-4 Caribou in that Sunday morning affair between those two teams. Taryn Willis with 2 goals in the game, second star. Tavin Peterson, a magical performance on the back end. He had 4 assists. He was the first star of the game. Thunderbirds and Caribou were 3-2 for the Cougars at the end of the first period. Then 5 more goals in the second period made it 6-4. But Brendan Perch, the reigning October Player of the Month for the Caribou Cougars, got the win and goal. A huge win for Caribou in that game. They are sitting in top spot in the U17 BC Elite Hockey League standings, 3 games in hand on the Thompson Blazers, who are second. Caribou actually has 3 games in hand on the Blazers. Both those teams will be playing against each other this coming up weekend in Kamloops, Saturday and Sunday, from a pair of the arenas in the Kamloops area, Sandman Center, Kamloops Memorial Arena, Saturday, Sunday. So good luck to the Cougars there. U15s not so lucky on the road. They dropped a couple against Fraser Valley by scores of 4-2 and 4-3. Tristan Schmidt having a couple of goals in defeat there. But the U15s, after that hot start, back to 500 as they get set for a bit of a break before going back to competition again. So Merced Moinchin and company have a chance to rest and recover. A lot of hockey for those kids. Remember, they went to a Canadian Crown tournament there in October, mixed in with obviously the showcase at the start of the year. So a chance for the Cougars to hit the reset button during the bye week there. U18s had a tournament of their own. They were in the Rank Hockey Academy Classic down in Vernon. They had 3 overtime victories in the round-robin tournament. They lost to Red Deer in their first of 2 Saturday round-robin games in that tourney. Of course, the overtime wins coming against the Leduc Oil Kings, the Okanagan Rockets, as well as the Calgary Buffaloes. Caribou placed second in their pool, only to lose the bronze medal game to those very same Red Deer Chiefs by a 3-0 score. So they finished 4th out of 8 teams in that tournament, just slightly outside the medal rankings. And of course, last but certainly not least, you have the Northern Capitals, a pair of identical 4-0 road victories down in Vancouver Island against the Seals. Trio first, actually. Taylor Reuter, the goaltender out of Houston, her first BC Elite Hockey League shutout on Saturday. Then the next day, Kenzie Bragg getting the 13-save shutout against the Seals on the Sunday, and Jenna Van Angren getting her very first goal in the BC Elite Hockey League. So congratulations, ladies. Of course, Joanna Ketter had a pair of goals in Sunday's victory. Paxton Fraser had a couple points in there as well as many other players in and across that Capitals program. Northern Capitals now 5-6-1 on the season. They are off this week until they host the Thompson Okanagan Lakers on November 15th and 16th, and Kin number 2 here in Prince George. I also wanted to mention, while I had a minute, that the U18s will be on the road this weekend facing the Vancouver Northeast Chiefs, and in Burnaby there at the Scotia Barn down there. Always a fun place to play for the road team. So good luck to the U18 Cougars in those games. Of course, the Chiefs 8-2 on this season. They are second, trailing the Okanagan Rockets, as I mentioned, Cougars third. So the creme de la creme facing each other in rather short order here in the BC EHL. Prince George Cougars, not as good of a weekend for them, going 1 for 2 on a 3 games and 3 nights road trip. It's actually the start of a 6-game road swing for them. Friday night, they lost to the Portland Winterhawks 6-2. That was followed up by an overtime victory against the Seattle Thunderbirds. And then on Sunday, They lose a tight one, 2-1 at the hands of the Vancouver Giants out in Langley. Of course, Prince George product. Cameron Schmidt, the game winner in that game with about 4 minutes or so remaining there. Josh Ravensbergen, a pretty solid game in his home area of North Vancouver. He's from North Vancouver. The game was in Langley, but that's essentially a home game for him. He was ranked among the stars in that game as well. Cougars back in action with 3 road games starting off Wednesday in Portland. So let's see if the Cougars can get back onto the winning track on the road against the Winterhawks, one of their main rivals. And of course, in the BCHL, the Prince George Spruce Kings were home for a pair of home games over the weekend. They were taking on the Salmon Arm Silverbacks on Saturday, as well as the Langley Rivermen on the Sunday. And we'll give you the game notes for the Saturday game against Salmon Arm. Prince George 1 for 2 on the power play. Drayson Campbell, Fraser Leonard, Marcus Lougheed, and Ty Ushio, the goal scorers in that game for Prince George. Liam Bursall replying in defeat for Salmon Arm. Another note to take along with you for the Spruce Kings, Ryder Green 5-1 on the season for Prince George, making a case to be the #1 starter in between the pipes for the Spruce Kings. Then the next day, not so lucky for Prince George, as they fell 4-2 to the Langley Rivermen. Langley scoring 3 unanswered times in the third period in the final 20 minutes to escape with the road victory. So Prince George still remains in second place in the Coastal East Division, behind one of the other rivals, the Coquitlam Express. Spruce Kings are back home Friday, Saturday against the Alberni Valley Bulldogs. So always a good time when the Bulldogs come over. ACAC Athletic Conference, Paige Cheek and Gabby Meyer played in their first games over the weekend. It was a afternoon tilt against another former couple Capital grads, and Sage Knorr and Anna Stewart. Rebels, or actually Red Deer Queens rather, winning that game 2-1 in a shootout. Anna Stewart, the player of the game for the Medicine Hat Rattlers in that one. Gabby Meyer picking up a point, an assist on the first Red Deer goal of that game. So congratulations, Paige and Gabby, and suiting up in your first collegiate action there. We will actually have the trio of Red Deer Queens on a future episode of Hockey North, of course, that being Gabby Meyer, Paige Cheek, and Cameron Ward. So look out for that in the coming shows here when we will have all 3 of them on the show. And of course, #7 ranked in the country, Trinity Western Spartans Ella Boone, after a pair of statement wins on the road in Edmonton against the Alberta Pandas. Trinity Western climbing up in the national rankings, ranked 7th in the country. So congratulations, Ella Boone, as well as Casey Dittner, another couple of Northern Caps alumni here. So congratulations to them, and we'll look to get them on a future episode as well. But our guest for this week, San Diego Gulls forward and Caribou Cougar alumni, as well as a Seattle Thunderbird grad, and Nico Myatovic. Of course, Nico was a high second-round pick of the Anaheim Ducks 2 years ago. And without any further ado, here's my chat with Nico Myatovic on everything San Diego Gulls, as well as his optimism for the AHL this year with San Diego. Welcome back to the Hockey North Weekly podcast here. I'm with Nico Myatovic of Prince George. Nico, you're entering your second full season here with the San Diego Gulls of the American Hockey League. I guess first and foremost, just talk about your expectations going into the year, and how you're feeling, I guess, in your second season in pro.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited. I'm more familiar this year. Know kind of more about what the league's about, and yeah, just trying to take that next step, I think, in my development. We have a really good team coming back. I think we can make a lot of noise and get into the playoffs here this year. So we're really excited here in San Diego.
Yeah, and of course, too, I would say maybe the second half of the year, you really finished pretty strong. Got a lot more ice time, a lot more confident. It just feels like it took you a bit to kind of get comfortable with that after that leg injury again, and maybe after Christmas last year, you kind of came on strong and hoping for much more of the same success this year.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, learning a lot coming into pro. I think, it's not the same game it was in junior. It's a lot more, of a grind game, and you have to you have to be able to battle against, people that are, or men that are 30 plus years old. So, I think I learned a lot leading up to Christmas, and the coaches here and the development staff did a great job and helped me out. And then that led to me being able to, blossom there in the second half and hopefully lead into this year.
You talked about going against players that are much older than you and how it's a different game. What was the biggest adjustment for you going from junior to pro?
Yeah, I think just how heavy those guys are, and then how important the wall battles were. That's something I kind of struggled with going into the year last year. And it's all about how you can win your walls. Especially I'm a winger, so those little plays can make a huge difference. Just 3 feet from the boards. So yeah, just learning the different routes and ways to leverage my body and protect the puck to advance plays.
You went to the Ducks camp this year. You were part of the rookie games between the Kings and some of the other California rivals that you played against there during your time at Ducks camp. What was that like being a part of it? And I think I saw a picture of you wearing the C in one of those games.
Yeah, that was a neat surprise. I think when I showed up to the rink there, it was my third rookie tournament now, so I was expecting to be a bit of a leader, and kind of just help, some of these guys that are coming in for their first rookie camps. I remember what it was like. It's your first time putting on an NHL jersey. It can be, pretty exciting. So I think, being my third year there, I was able to help some of those young guys out, and yeah, I mean, it was good leading into main camp.
Yeah. And how did you find the main camp went for you? Obviously, you're back for more seasoning with the Gulls, but going into the main camp with the Ducks, probably feeling a lot more confident, a lot more healthier, of course, like we mentioned earlier, after recovering from that injury during your last year in Seattle that cost you quite a bit of time. But how did you feel the camp went, and did you feel a lot more confident knowing you had a year of pro under your belt?
Yeah, 100%. I think confidence is a big thing at this level, and I was able to build off what I did at the end of last year, and I thought I had a solid camp. Obviously wasn't looking to get sent down this year. Always hoping to make the big club, but I think this year will be huge for me. Just take my development even further, and hopefully, yeah, come end of this year, fight for a call up or something, and then yeah, make a push for next season on the Ducks.
Yeah. What's maybe their plan for you? What do they kind of project you as? Do you want to be that top six forward? Do you want to be that middle six, top nine forward that kind of does a little bit of everything? How do you kind of see yourself slotting into that lineup, which is very young, has a lot of good talent already? Um, how do they kind of see you in the organizational depth chart?
Yeah, I think my entire career I've always kind of been that guy that can chip in any place. When I was in Seattle, I was a good penalty killer, played on the second power play and then 5-on-5. So I think just that guy that can be reliable, that the coaches can trust. I think that's a big part of my game, and I take pride in that. So hopefully, just keep developing that way, and then yeah, down the road, be that type of that player for the Ducks.
One thing I always hear from junior players that just get into pro is the biggest adjustment is you're often living by yourself. You don't have a billet family. You don't often have a teammate living with you in the minor leagues. It's mostly your own accommodations. And, the time is yours for you to kind of figure it out and kind of be that pro on and off the ice. How has that adjustment been off the ice in terms of being a pro, making sure you're eating the right things, replenishing your fluids and that and all that, and just kind of living that lifestyle 24/7, whether you're at the rink playing or practicing, and then coming back home just trying to recover for the next task or next game that you're going to play in, whether it's at home or on the road.
Yeah, it's big. I learned a lot last year about what just gets me going for game days. I think you start to realize what your body likes. Even 1, 2, 3 days prior to games. What you have to do to prepare. Post practice habits, all these certain things. We're fortunate enough that we get breakfast and lunch at the rink, so we're just on our own to cook dinner. So I've been managing to do that, and I got a roommate, Noah Warren, who's also on the team, so we kind of pair up and handle that. But yeah, I think even throughout the course of your career in the WHL, you kind of just learn what makes you and your legs feel good on game day. And as you get older and gain more experience, you start to realize that those things aren't an option, and you have to treat it like a pro every single day.
Mhm. What's it like living in San Diego? Obviously, the appetite for hockey there. What's it like living in a city like that? It's often looked at as a huge tourist like city, lots of beaches, lots of different Mexican and Spanish influence, of course, with being right by the border, lots of shopping, lots of entertainment. What's it like to live in a city like that as a pro?
It's incredible. I don't think there's many cities like this in the world. So, we're lucky enough that it's a big city, and we have such a great fan base. But then, yeah, like there's, we're right on the beach. We live right on the beach, so it's, after post practice, we can just head down there. There's tons of shops, good places to eat. It's just a great atmosphere, and obviously being from northern British Columbia, it's a lot different. But I've been loving it so far here my first couple of years.
Yeah, and I would just imagine what the lifestyle is like, a little bit different compared to maybe living either in your hometown in Prince George or maybe somewhere different in the northeastern United States. It's probably doesn't get that cold. You just maybe go to the beach after practice or go somewhere else to kind of unwind. Is it I would imagine there are certain perks about the climate and the lifestyle that you know are very attractive to hockey players and or other athletes that are living and playing there?
Yes, 100%. The weather doesn't really vary too much. It's still pretty hot here, but even in the dog days of the season, if you want to call it, you go outside after practice and it's, no less than 20 degrees. So we're pretty fortunate here. And yeah, all of us players just try and take advantage and not take it for granted.
Yeah. Let's go back to your junior days with Seattle. We've touched on them before, but we could touch on them again here. You spent the better part of 3+ years with the Thunderbirds. You had the bubble season as well, where you scored 3 times, but you were on some really good Seattle teams for those 2 years where you went to the championship. You had that one team that was one win away from going to the Memorial Cup, and then you had another deep run the following year where you had 30 goals, 60 points. Um, Obviously, you're not that far removed from your time with the Thunderbirds, but when you look back fondly on it, what sticks out to you the most?
I mean, and this is kind of a cliche, and you'll hear it all the time, but those teams that are so good is just how tight the group was. And I have friends on that team that are going to last my lifetime that I still keep in touch with. So that's just an amazing part. And it was like the entire organization. I look back at all the people that helped me get to where I am now, and the type of player I was when I entered that organization at 16, and how much I grew. So, I just I really thank everyone, the players, the coaches, the development staff that helped me. And yeah, like when you're playing on such a good team like that, you're practicing against players that are great, and I think that just helps everybody in that situation develop. So yeah, I'd say those things.
Yeah, and you had a bunch of guys that are either drafted or signed by NHL teams. I think you were among them at that time, being picked up by Anaheim. What's that like? What's that dynamic like, knowing you're pretty much with a bunch of guys that are on the cusp of being pro ready on this one junior team that's been assembled for you? Does it make you want to push that much harder and be that much better, knowing that you have so many high caliber players around you to help work off of?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of when you have that many guys that are drafted, everyone's can taste the next level, I think, and then that just becomes contagious throughout the team. So every day in practice, you're not just developing for that season or that game later that week. It's you're all thinking about getting to that next level, and I think that just elevates the pace of practice and just the compete level throughout the team.
What was your favorite part about playing in that market?
In Seattle,
Yeah.
oh, I mean the fan base. I mean that entire U.S. division is just a lot of fun to play in. But Seattle's fans, I mean, when we're just like a great team there. It was packed every night, and they'd give it to the opposing teams, and just to be able to play in that atmosphere and come out on top a lot of those nights, it was something I'll never forget.
hmm What is your pregame routine now in terms of getting ready for a game? And do you have any superstitions?
I don't. I know. I try to stay away from the superstitions. I used to kind of get caught up in that, but I realized that it just took too much of my brain space away. So no, it's pretty standard. I go for my pregame skate, come back, have my nap, cook my pregame meal, all those certain things, and then yeah, get ready for the game. But it's pretty standard if you talk to most hockey players.
Yeah. What is your ideal pregame meal?
I'm always chicken and pasta and salad on the side.
Okay, perfect. We'll end this one on a fun one here. You're stranded on a desert island with three of your current teammates on the Gulls. Who are you wanting with you and why?
Oh man, I would probably go. I'd probably go Ryan Carpenter, our captain. He's just a natural leader, so he'd be good to have on an island like that. Go Sasha Passagov. He's one of my good buddies. Got to know him really well over the past couple of years. And then I'd probably go Noah Warren, the roommate that I have here. Same thing, really good buddies, and yeah, I'm learning to live with them. And yeah, we're really good buddies now too. So I'd say those three.
Yeah. Who would you say is the team to look out for in your division?
I got to say us. I think we're ready to make a lot of noise and take a big step. It's been a few years now that we haven't made the playoffs, but we're a hungry group in that locker room right now with the chip on our shoulder. So I think we're out for something to prove.
Is there one or two teams in particular that you're kind of right there with, or maybe have had your number that you'd like to get the best of or over top of this year?
Um, I don't know. I think in our league, it can vary so much. A team that was really good last year might not be as deep this year just because of newer prospects coming in, things like that. So I don't know. We're looking for blood for all the teams in the Pacific, I think.
All right, Nico. Well, thank you very much as always doing this. Best of luck this season with the goals. Hopefully you get a call up to the Ducks and continuing to make your hometown of Prince George proud, going into the pro ranks again for a second season here with the Gulls. So good luck this year.
Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate it.
That was my chat with San Diego Gulls forward and Anaheim Ducks prospect, Nico Myatovic of Prince George. Good luck to the Gulls and to Nico this season on the hopes of trying to climb up the AHL standings into a playoff spot. And last but certainly not least, former Prince George Spruce King and Caribou Cougar, current starting netminder of the Toronto Varsity Blues, Jordan Fairlie. Jordan in his third year at the U of T, and here's my chat with Jordan on everything Northern BC as well as life in Toronto as a university student. Well, from Fort St. John to Prince George and now all the way out into Toronto, Jordan Fairlie is in his third year at the U of T with the Varsity Blues on the men's hockey program. And right now he joins us on the podcast right now. Jordan, it's been a while since we last chatted.
Yeah. How you been?
Good, I've been great. How are you?
Not too bad. Been pretty busy out here for sure.
Yeah. So now it's your third year at the University of Toronto Varsity Blues. You're been the starting goaltender for the Varsity Blues for a while now. You had 18 games last year with the U of T, three already this year. How's the team looking heading into your third season?
I think we should be pretty strong. We got a couple new recruits this year and a couple transfers from D1 teams and stuff like that. So we're pretty optimistic and hoping to have a really good year. I think we maybe haven't had our best performances coming out of the gate, but we're working out some kinks, and I think in no time we should be a pretty solid crew.
What's life like in Toronto and Canada's biggest city? I mean, you're from the Peace region in Fort St. John. I mean, there is, some fast parts to it given the industry, but Toronto, I would imagine, at least for you, a whole different animal.
Yeah, yeah, completely different beast. I'd say it's for sure different pace, a lot faster. Back home, like small town, I think biggest city I've ever lived in was Prince George. So, coming here, like I'm roommates with Aiden Reeves, also from Prince George there. So, I think our first day we just like looked up and we're like, holy, like where are we right now? And I think it's a pretty good experience for university and a lot of opportunity in the big city, but I don't know if it's for me. I'm probably gonna settle somewhere a little smaller than this.
Yeah. When it comes to the university itself, there's a lot of pride there in U of T being one of the premier universities in all of Canada. What's it like in terms of the academic balance with athletics, knowing that Toronto's got a pretty good reputation in terms of the U of T campus, in terms of courses and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a grind, and being an athlete too, it doesn't change anything. Like they don't give you any slack. I've heard some stories about like guys going down to the States, and I don't know, like their profs will just be like, oh, whatever, like here you go. But yeah, none of that happens here. It's all really official. We're no different than anybody else. So it's just trying to manage your time a lot better because we kind of worked it out. We think like being on the team's probably close to like a 30-hour a week time commitment. So we're getting that much less time to do the same amount of work as all the other students. So it's really just kind of finding your groove and sticking with it. So I know it was a little bit of a transition my first year and figuring all that out, but I think by now I kind of have a better grasp of that.
How long did it take you to kind of get acclimated to either the big city life or just adjusting in general from junior hockey to post-secondary?
Yeah, well, I mean, during junior, you just go to the rink, you go home, hang out with the boys. Like it's like kind of like a little bit of an easier life, like you don't have a whole lot of responsibility and stuff. So, I mean, coming here the first couple weeks, you're still used to that, and then school hits you like a truck, and then you got five midterms coming up, and it's a lot different, and no more billets to cook for you, like you're doing everything on your own. So, it wasn't that bad. I know I already kind of moved out knowing how to like cook, clean, and all that stuff, so I wasn't that worried about that, but. The biggest thing was probably learning how to manage my time better. I think coming here, first little bit I didn't really have that figured out. So I had a couple long nights finishing homework the night before the due date and stuff like that. So once I kind of learned how to manage my time a little bit better, then it all kind of sorted itself out.
Mm. And of course, too, just given the fast pace of Toronto, everything probably felt like it was moving like 1,000 miles an hour the first couple weeks. Couple weeks you've probably been there.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, it feels like everything cruises by here. Even right now, it feels like we're already in like week 8 of school. It's like it felt like it started last week. Everything just seems to go by so fast. Like I definitely don't even feel like a third year right now.
Yeah. What's maybe the most fun or most favorite part about living in Toronto as a student? Obviously, you got a plethora of options in terms of entertainment and nightlife and that sort of thing. I know you can't really delve into too much of that in season, but what's been maybe your favorite part about living or experiencing Canada's biggest city?
Yeah, I think it's just like all the opportunities around the city that you wouldn't get somewhere else. I know for myself, I'm kind of doing like a degree in science, so I applied to a few labs and I got like a research position in a hospital that, if I was somewhere else, there's not really a lot of those available. So for me that was really cool, but also just like entertainment and stuff. Like I mean, right now like the Jays are going on. There is a huge buzz around the city. And like stuff like that is always really cool. Like last year when they weren't as good, tickets were a lot cheaper, so we could actually afford to go. So I think I watched like 5 or 6 Jays games for like $15. Like there's some cool stuff like that, and there's like always something going on, which like you're never like just sitting around like, hey, what should we do? Like you can always find something with few guys that are free, and even the street I live on Yonge Street, like kind of one of the biggest ones in the city. And I think I could walk down that street and try a different restaurant every single night for like the rest of my time here. There's just so many options.
Yeah, I've kind of been on that Young and Dundas Square area. I know it's a different name now, but I've kind of been down there. It's quite the different world with all the cultures and all the different types of shopping options, dining options, you name it. It's quite its own little world up in its own there, and it's definitely one of the more unique things that you encounter. Uh, pretty much in your own home country, even though you're from a different part of the from a different province.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I know I don't get a whole lot of time like during the school year to actually go out and see it and stuff, but yeah, this summer I tried to do some exploring, tried to try some new restaurants and stuff like that, get out there and see a little bit. So it's definitely been cool just exploring the city. There's just like so much to offer.
Yeah. What's it like living in like the whole Blue Jays utopia that's going on right now with the playoff run and how they're kind of uniting a country? Obviously, you're there studying, you're there playing hockey, but you're smack dab in the middle of all of this with Jays fever. What's it like to actually be down there and live it and just kind of see it from all angles?
Oh yeah, even last night the game was in LA, but the Jays are doing this thing right now where you can go and watch the game at Rogers Stadium. So they're selling tickets for like $15, and it's actually a crazy atmosphere. So we're on reading week right now, so there's a little bit less homework being done than should be. But a bunch of the guys off our team last night went to it, and it was crazy. Just like walking out of there, like on the subway, people are still doing chants and stuff like all throughout the city. So. I remember when they beat Seattle, I couldn't sleep that night because people are honking the horns in the streets till 3 a.m. Like it was, there's such a buzz. It's actually crazy, and it's fun to be a part of for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk more into the season here. Obviously, you're in the Ontario University Athletic Conference there. You're actually in the same conference as a couple other Caribou guys in Hunter Brown and Dawson Smith, who went through Caribou in and around the same time as you did. What's just maybe kind of compare the OUA to the Canada West? Obviously, you haven't played in the Western Conference, in terms of university sport, but what's the OUA like in terms of talent and pace and the type of teams that you face every night?
Yeah, I'm not like super familiar with Canada West just because we haven't played them ever. But I know our travel's a little bit less, which is kind of nice. We're not going all the way from like Vancouver to Manitoba or anything like that. This year they actually split it up where there's OUA East and OUA West just because there's so many more like universities in Ontario. But we're only playing in division games this year. So our furthest trip is down to Windsor, which is probably about 4 hours, which I mean like playing on the Spruce Kings growing up, like that was our shortest trip was 7 hours. So it's completely different. But I'd say like it's definitely like the hockey is super competitive. Like last year, after our season ended, we had 4 guys signing the East Coast. I think one guy, I don't know if he got it. He was trying to get a two-way A contract right now. Like he went to an NHL like camp this year. So like we have some guys that they progress and like go pretty far. So I think a lot of people see like U Sports as, like, oh, I didn't make it out of the dub. Like this is just where I'm gonna go now. But there's a lot of guys that progress and like go play pro, and it's still like really competitive. A lot of like top end U Sport guys. So it's really good hockey. I couldn't really compare it to Canada West, but I think it gets a little less credit than it deserves.
Yeah. Are you getting a little bit of a trickle down in terms of NCAA transfers? Obviously now with the eligibility change, you're getting a lot more of those NCAA schools scouting and signing the top major junior recruits because there's no risk anymore. Are you seeing a bit of a trickle down and getting some NCAA transfers that are maybe now further down the pecking order that want to play more and they're kind of seeing U Sports and the OUA as a bit of an option?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like some guys will kind of commit when they're like early on or something, like in junior, and then show up to school and kind of don't get the opportunity that they want or, new coach and they end up getting buried or something like that. So, I know a few guys who are frustrated with their situation will sometimes come up and transfer and stuff like that. So, with the new rule and stuff, it opens up a whole new recruiting portal too. So I know that probably knocked a few guys out of jobs. So I think there was a little bit more for transfers this year than there is normally, but it's only really been 1 year, so we'll have to see how that kind of plays out.
What does your game day routine and preparation look like now that you're, university athlete, living in a much bigger center, there's a lot more going on. How has it changed or differed now with kind of the change of setting now being in Ontario?
Yeah, I guess living on my own, like game day routines, kind of just what I'm feeling. Like I'm not really we just have to show up to the game. Like it's not we have guys who kind of commute in and stuff, so it's not like junior we have to show up and like go stretch in the morning and then go home and all that stuff. They give you kind of a little more like free reign. But for me, what that looks like, I try to have all my homework done day before game because I don't really want to be focusing on that on game day. So, get to bed early the night before, get a good sleep in, and then in the morning try to make a good breakfast, go on a walk. I like to get kind of active in the morning. Come back, I start thawing some chicken for my pregame meal, go take a nap. Then I wake up, make some chicken and rice, have a shower, get ready, go to the game. So that's kind of how my day is. It's usually, not a whole lot going on, just making some food, taking a walk, having a nap, stuff like that, kind of the typical stuff. But yeah, it's just a lot more free reign than it was in the past with like how structured it is in junior.
Yeah, you also said you're playing with Aiden Reeves, who's also a Prince George guy, played in the WHL, BCHL, Caribou Cougars. Has it been easier to kind of live this experience with somebody that you know that you've played with that's from the same area as you, and it's kind of made everything that much easier?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think just coming in here and like already knowing each other was amazing. And I mean, he's my best friend. Like we get along so well. We've been together for 3 years, and I don't think we fought once. So I mean, knock on wood. Don't want to jinx that, but he's a great roommate to have. And coming in here, already having a guy I'm familiar with, and having somebody to go through this whole experience with, that I'm still gonna be best friends for the rest of my life afterwards is it's amazing.
You're also playing against somebody that's in the same city as you, that's from the same area, and Connor Bowie that's playing for Toronto Metropolitan University. Do you ever talk to him ever, or kind of compare notes with how things are going? Uh, but between the two of you?
Yeah, no, I think he's been doing really well actually. Like, I know their team ended up going to nationals last year, which is cool for them and good opportunity for him. I think he also played FISU, which is he made like the U Sport Team Canada, and I think that was Italy or something like that. So he got to go on some big trip last year. So I think he's pretty happy. He's doing really well. He's injured, so he didn't play in our last game against us, but I think he's coming back anytime. And there's once or twice where Revo and I have got together with him and went for brunch on a Sunday or something like that. So they played together in the WHL actually, like for
Yep.
PGs. So the three of us all know each other pretty well and stuff. So anytime we play him, he's definitely a guy we want to beat. But it's cool to have other guys in the city as well.
So let's wind the clock back a little bit. You graduated from the Caribou program and then went on to play uh, 2.5 years with the Spruce Kings. Just talk about your time with the Spruce Kings. You're kind of 1A and 1B there with Aaron Trotter during much of your time in Prince George. And how do you feel that your time in the BCHL helped prepare you to get ready for youth sports?
Yeah, PG is a good program. I know it was always very structured and regimented there, and um, there was no room for kind of, messing around and stuff like that. So I think in that way, it helps you grow as a person and kind of learn to live up to a high standard, and then just bringing that here and trying to carry that out every day. I think that experience definitely helped me make it to the next step. And playing here, it's the same thing. Like, you get bigger rosters in junior or in university than you do in junior. Like, there's nobody who can affiliate for you. Everyone has to be a part of the school. So, I mean, there's no room for mistakes. If you're not performing, you're not playing. So, I think it's a really good way to kind of prepare yourself for that experience. And I think PG did a good job helping me out here.
What are maybe some of your best memories as a Spruce King?
Oh, I think 18 was cool when we won the pod. I know it was only like a half season with the bubble and everything, but I mean that was fun. We ended up getting locked in a hotel room for 43 days down in Chilliwack, but that was the way we all just got closer with the guys. And yeah, there was a lot of fun had and a lot of friends from that team still. So I think even like the long bus trips and stuff like that like brings all the guys closer together for sure.
Hmm. And of course, you came to Caribou. I think the one season there. I know you got injured for a little bit of the year. I think it was that one season where we had like 6 or 7 different goalies because everybody kept getting injured. But just maybe touch on your time with Caribou a little bit there as well, if you can.
Yeah, no, it was good. That would have been my grade 12 years, so didn't end up sticking it out in the dub and was looking for a place to play. And Bruffer was really generous and offered me the spot. So came in, unfortunately got hurt like earlier, or I guess, and started January, so like halfway through the year. But even, yeah, just coming here, like somewhere close to home, kind of got to come back and see my parents a little more often. And for the program they have, they do a good job, and that's where I would have met Joycer. Did a couple years with him in the summers and stuff, like helped me progress my game a lot. So that was a really good stepping stone for sure.
What's the one part of your game as a goaltender that you feel has evolved over the years?
I think for me, I've always been like really fast. I grew up like pretty small. I was like 5'6" until I was 15 or 16. So I always needed to be pretty fast, but I think when I actually had my growth spurt, I wasn't that controlled with it. So over the years, I've been really focused on just like calming down. Like I know I have the speed and I know I'm able to use it, but not every situation needs to be a full splits play and like full dive across. So really just calming down and playing a system that actually works instead of just sprinting across back and forth, kind of being crazy. And that's what's brought me the most success when I execute that well.
Hmm. What does kind of the playing map look like for you? Obviously, you're near three at Toronto. You got technically 2 years left of eligibility in Canada in youth sports because you can play up to 5 years in Canada. But once the eligibility is done for you in youth sports, do you kind of see yourself giving pro a shot, or what type of career field do you see yourself in as you are taking science in Toronto?
Yeah, I came in here originally like the schooling part. Goal was met, and I'm kind of still figuring out if that's what I want to do. My sister is like a resident doctor right now. She graduated med school. And sometimes I hear some stories from the hospital. I'm like, oh, is that really what I want to put myself through? So I'm kind of keeping all my options open right now. But for right now, I think I do want to go and play a year or two of pro because, you can only do that once when you're young. And if I'm 40, it's like something I'd look back at and regret not doing. And it's too late at that point, right? So I think after I'm done here, I probably want to go move to Europe for a year or two and, go travel a little bit, get paid to play the game you love. Like, sounds like a win-win. Just kind of go see a different country and live there for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few Prince George guys and a few Northern BC guys that are there now that either Caribou or what have you. Chris Jandrick's playing in Germany. Michael Gartig's playing in Germany. Steven Jandrick's playing in Finland. So you got a few guys from the northern part of the province that have sticking it out, that are playing well, that are still playing the game they love and enjoying like overseas. So it's definitely a viable option for you as well as for a lot of players. And we talked a little bit about the eligibility change. I know when we chatted when you were in Prince George that you were trying to, appeal the one game to keep your college eligibility at the time. But now with the eligibility change now, do you kind of wish that option was available to you when you played? And do you think your development path or your choices would have been different had you not had to risk anything either way, whether you would have played in the BCHL or the WHL or whatever, you still would have had both options available to you.
Yeah, I think it definitely changes the junior landscape a bit because now there's no risk in playing the WHL. You don't lose any eligibility anymore, so guys are probably just trying to shoot straight for that now instead of sticking it out. And then yeah, I think for me, that was the goal, like coming out of my 20 year, and it was unfortunate that my eligibility wasn't granted. Yeah, it was rejected. So, but I'm happy where I'm at. I think everything happens for a reason, and it turned out for the best. Um, if I could go back, I don't think I wouldn't change anything. I think everything has kind of played out pretty well, and this is where I want to be right now. So can't really complain about anything there.
Yeah. So we'll leave it off on a fun one here. So you're stranded on a desert island with three of your teammates in Toronto. Who are you picking to come with you and why?
Oh, who am I picking and coming? Why? Okay, I got let's see. Need somebody crafty for sure. I got my roommate. Revo is pretty good. Um, let's see. I got Mason Reeves. He played for the Spruce Kings for a bit too, actually.
Yeah.
Um, but he's a wild card. I think he'd fight a bear, so he'd be a good guy to have. And one of our recruits, Brandon Sanawana, he's the comedy guy, so I bring him along, keep
Yeah.
us entertained.
Cool. Well, it was nice to catch up with you again. It's nice to see that you're having a lot of success at the University of Toronto academically and athletically in hockey. And maybe we can do this again sometime as you continue to go up the ranks here with the University of Toronto Varsity Blues.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Of course. All right, that was our final guest on the show, Jordan Fairlie, the Toronto Varsity Blues U of T third-year starting goaltender. Best of luck, of course, to Jordan on his season, as well as Aiden Reeves, former Prince George Cougar and Spruce King, also a Caribou Cougar as well. He is a teammate and a roommate of Jordan's, so best of luck to both of them, as well as one of our prior guests, Connor Boy, who's just across the street at Toronto Metropolitan University. So pretty cool to see three kids from the north playing in the biggest city in Canada in two different universities. So hope all is well, or continue to be all is well with all three of those players. And that'll do it here for another episode of Hockey North Weekly. For our guests, Nico Myatovic and Jordan Fairlie, this is Brendan Paulou signing off for another episode of Hockey North Weekly.